Hey, good evening, everyone. So, welcome to day 3 of the Shin Splint Challenge. My name is Dr. Heather, and I've been the host of the 3-day Shin Splint Challenge. And I've been with you guys for the past 2 nights, where we've kind of now started to put everything together. And that's what we're going to do tonight. We're going to really start now wrapping things up and kind of giving you guys that action plan. Now, if you haven't gone ahead and given StreamYard permission, please make sure you do so, because as you're coming on tonight, we want to know who you are, where you're watching from. So please do kind of give us a hi, and it would be great to just kind of see your names appear on the screen with us as well. Day 3 of the Shin Splint Challenge. And if you haven't gone ahead and registered for the event, you can still kind of do that, because you can at least still get access to the Facebook private group, where you can get day 1 and 2, and you can kind of catch up a little bit in terms of just kind of getting all the information I've been giving. Now, if you haven't really kind of, you're catching me just now live on either, YouTube or Facebook right now, and you're kind of like, well, what is Heather talking about? What's Dr. Heather, going through? Well, we've been doing a 3-day Shin Splint Challenge. Now, this whole challenge is a free workshop that was really designated around the number one complaint that we were noticing that was going on as the pandemic was in full force, which was pretty much people starting to complain about shin pain and really not knowing what to do about it, how to relieve it, and so forth. So day 1, we went through the whole educational kind of component, where we really kind of started getting a better understanding of our shin splints, the muscles that are involved, the movement patterns of our foot. And then from there, essentially, well, why would our shin kind of be engaging? Why would we be experiencing that pain, that discomfort? And then last night, which was actually really the secret to understanding how to rid yourself of shin splints, I walked you through a step-by-step process that I would take actually, a patient through to really kind of help them alleviate their shin pain, and really kind of showing you guys how we work on the flexibility, the mobility, and then how we put in the stretching, then how we put in the strengthening exercises, but most importantly as well, how we go ahead and start working in that balance component, because running is a very much a single leg sport. So we want to address that. Now, again, if you also are just kind of wondering, well, who is Dr. Heather, and, what am I all about? Well, essentially, I've actually now pivoted more into becoming your virtual sports chiropractor. I am that person who's going to help you achieve optimal performance and function, and looking at fixing your pain naturally. And, throughout my life, I've been a natural athlete, but I've had an enormous passion for science and sports, and actually combined it together with my background in sports medicine, athletic training, and then went on to graduate school for chiropractic medicine. And, for the past 20 years, I've been working with patients in private practice, really helping them succeed, making sure that they feel a whole holistic approach is going on. So now, again, tonight, don't forget to give StreamYard permission. We want to make sure that if you are coming onto the screen, that you go ahead and do say hi, because we want to know who is watching this evening. So make sure you're going ahead and doing that. And again, this is day 3 of shin splints, really kind of understanding everything that we've been going through. And what we're going to talk about tonight is really how you put it all together. Now, if you haven't joined the Facebook private group, if you're one of the many people who has registered for the event, make sure you do go in there, because that's where you will find all the replays. The replays are only going to be posted in the Facebook private group, along with the worksheets, which are kind of like your cheat sheet, which goes through kind of a summary of what we talked about the night before. And that's how you're also going to get your hands on that treatment plan that is kind of that secret sauce to really eliminating shin splint discomfort and pain that you've been experiencing. So what I want to do tonight is I want to start now really putting it all together. So we're going to go ahead and really start looking at everything here. So what we're going to do is we're going to switch screens, and we're going to bring this up a little bit there. Okay. All right, so now, like I said, tonight is all about putting it together. So this is where we really want to say goodbye to shin splints, and really having a better understanding, of what this is all going to entail. Now, I started talking about a few of the things that we're going to address tonight, actually in last night's protocol, because now you're going to see how it all works. So now, one of the main things we started talking about last night was this thing about a gait analysis, and really starting to understand, well, what is a gait analysis. If you have seen some posts that I've written before, I have actually talked about the difference between gait analysis and a functional movement screening, and why these are two great assessment tools and why you would want to use them, to really kind of have a better understanding of pain, and what's going on with that lower leg, or also too looking at movement patterns from the low back, the pelvis, the hip, the knee, and the foot and ankle. So bottom line, the gait analysis, it's an assessment tool. If you truly want to get a gait analysis done, what you would be doing is really going to somebody who has been trained in it. Some of the sneaker shops or running stores may perform a gait analysis. They may watch you walk the length of the room, or they might actually put you on the treadmill. Now, I know some stores like New Balance and stuff like that have a little bit more three-dimensional kind of enhancement, where they can really start looking at the foot in terms of, standing on something that's going to give you kind of more of that three-dimensional kind of look of your foot, and really be able to tell a lot more in terms of if you do pronate, supinate, have high arch, flat feet, and so forth. So here is pretty much the definition of what a gait analysis is. It identifies those insufficiencies in movement, in the movement that a patient would have with or without injury. So this was something we started addressing last night when looking at the exercise component. We're looking at those muscle imbalances. We're trying to figure out what's weak, and really how to get each leg to fire and work accordingly. So when you're out there running, that you feel, very balanced, and you're distributing the weight evenly from one foot to the other. The other thing that's really nice about a gait analysis that some of you might not know, it does look at recognizing, your postural and movement related to areas of dysfunction. Again, that kind of relates to muscle imbalances. And then again, it will look at, your step length, step irregularities, and also gait velocity, cadence, and looking at the degree of the body sway. So a gait analysis is a great tool. It's going to start to really look at that overall picture, and that's why last night too, when we started with the myofascial work, I said to you guys, we're going to go ahead and start really looking at, breaking down the soft tissue, not just at the shin or the calf itself, but really starting to break down the tissue throughout the low back, the TFL, the IT band, then getting down into the calf, getting into the shin, and really kind of understanding, that we have to look at that entire kinematic chain. So now this really kind of answers that question, how does a gait analysis resolve my shin pain? How does it help? Well, exactly what it just stated. It's really looking at those muscle deficiencies, those weaknesses that we may have, because, it's one thing to say, all right, when we get shin pain, we're going to do that traditional rice recipe, which is something I mentioned last night. Yeah, within the first onset of injury, up to about 24, 36 hours, you really do. You want to calm down the inflammation. But then from there, if we can start kind of understanding what's going on throughout that whole kinematic chain, if we can really start looking at those patterns, this is how we're going to really be able to resolve the shin splint pain. So a gait analysis, like I said, is a great assessment tool. It's one that if you are somebody who's a serious walker, runner, or somebody who, is just prone to kind of being more of that heavy heel striker, having a better understanding of what's going on is going to kind of aid you a lot further. So from there, the next big kind of question that we see a lot of people always jump right to is footwear. So, once that shin splint kind of hits us, we're immediately going, oh, it's got to be the sneaker. Maybe I didn't purchase the right sneaker. So this is one of the things that I really stress with all runners. And, I've noticed it coming up a little bit more in some of the discussions in some of the private groups, where I actually have to commend a lot of people because I don't know, everybody's background, but, people are asking, did you get fitted for shoes? So this is what answers this question here. Getting properly fitted for shoes for your footwear, for your activity is going to have a massive impact on what it is you're noticing in terms of shin pain. So, I'll give you guys a perfect example. Years ago, I had a really good friend. She was avid fitness fanatic. So we would go run, then we'd go play tennis, we'd go kayaking and so forth, all kind of in one day. It was a lot of activity. So granted, being in your 20s, you can handle all that stuff. But this was me. I was like, oh, if we're going to go running, I don't need an actual, tennis sneaker. I can just easily wear my running sneakers on the tennis court. Well, lo and behold, I did that. And sure enough, my piriformis muscle decided to ignite itself way up because I didn't have the proper footwear for my activity. I hadn't gone and gotten the proper sneaker that I needed for my activity. So like I said, even though we're really kind of addressing and we're focusing more on that running component, if you get that gait analysis and then you have an idea of the type of foot you have, a pronation, a supination, flat foot, high arch, maybe you also too are more of a toe walker, whatever it actually is. From there, going and taking that knowledge to an actual sneaker shop, store, running store that does do proper fitting, for sneakers, that is going to benefit you so much more, and it's going to make your life 10 times better. But again, when we look at, sneakers, we don't want it to be necessarily our to go. We don't want to immediately rush to the footwear. We want to take our time, and really have a better understanding of what's going on first. So now the next kind of question that seems to really pop up a lot is, will insoles or customized orthotics help? So this is what I always recommend to people, especially, when they haven't really ever had that pain, or they've noticed that they've constantly are having this discomfort, can't figure out why. They've got a plethora of sneakers, they're just trying everything. They're shoving insoles in, customized orthotics, but they still can't figure everything out. So once you've kind of gone through everything that we talked about on day 2, and like I said, if you haven't grabbed that cheat sheet, which really kind of goes through, a timeline of how you would attack every single thing, the insoles and the customized orthotics are really going to be that last resort. That's going to be the last thing you want to do. So that's when you're about 85, 90% better, and you still can't break through that barrier. A lot of times we need a little additional support within our shoe. So that's where, getting the proper insole or customized orthotic is going to be really good. Now, even though that's going to help, just so you know, this is the reason why you would eventually want to have that insole or customized orthotic placed in. It is going to provide more support to the arch, and it will help absorb the shock, especially if you're doing high impact exercise. So now, just so you guys know, running is actually considered a high impact exercise because of the type of terrain that we're usually on. So for most of us, we are running on roads or streets. We're not always running through the woods on trails or on like a track surface, which is going to provide a little bit more of a cushion, and we're not going to feel as much shock absorption. So again, that's where the customized orthotic and insole is going to play into things there. So this is what I always tell people as we're kind of now putting everything together, understanding what's going on when you have that shin pain is going to be crucially important. Because again, even though you might be doing all the traditional stuff and still not seeing any results, and I actually did do a video on this, I'm going to tell you right now, even though your shin is the cause of problem, or I should say is the result of what you're noticing, that pain area, it actually might not be the root cause. So really, going to somebody professional, whether it's virtual or in person, really going to somebody who works with runners is going to make a big difference in your overall improvement, throughout the whole entire course of treatment. The next is, just like I stated earlier, was you want to get fitted for proper shoes. This is something that you really want to make sure You do. And I know sometimes we all are on a budget when it comes to buying sneakers, but at least go get fitted. Have some knowledge behind you in terms of what really is the proper running shoe for you. And then if you can, and a gait analysis, again, is going to be a little bit more on the costly side because you may have to go to somebody who specializes in it. But if you can get that gait analysis done, or you can take some video of you running, whether it's on a treadmill or outside, and have a professional, just take a look at that video. Again, that's going to really aid and help here in figuring out what's going on and why that shin might be the source of just this discomfort and pain that you're feeling. So, with that being said, you guys, that's where we start to kind of see everything come together here. And from that point that I'm addressing with you guys, shin splints are very much, they can be resolved. It's just a matter of kind of taking all the necessary steps, the action plan, putting it into work, and not just jumping to that end point being the sneaker or, running out buying, insoles without really understanding kind of the type of foot you have and what's really going on. Now, this is going to kind of end our 3-day coaching event together. But what I want to share with you guys is tomorrow night, we're actually going to have a special guest. So I've thrown in a bonus day, which is going to occur tomorrow night. Tomorrow night, I'm going to have running expert and coach Jason Thompson. He's going to come on and he's going to really start going over running technique and starting to go ahead and show you guys, based upon what we've been talking about over these 3 days, how you can go ahead and make some modifications to your running, technique, performance, and really kind of giving you guys some helpful tips when it comes from a running expert. So right there, that is going to be something you're going to want to pay attention to. Tomorrow evening, 7:30 Eastern time, you're going to see we're going to have another special live session where we're going to have that running, my coach, my friend, not really coach, but my friend, Coach Jason, he's going to be popping on, and I'm super excited to have him. He's really an awesome guy. He's written the book, Running Secrets, and that's actually the name of his website and business as well. So really excited to have Jason on tomorrow evening, 7:30 here live with me. And he's going to, like I said, be going through a whole presentation with you guys on really running techniques. So try not to miss that one session as well. Now, if any of you guys are interested, for anyone who has been joining us throughout these 3 days, don't forget you actually get a free consult with me. I highly recommend that you take full advantage of it. This might just be that time to really provide you with some insight, especially as the weather gets really warmer. And you might be thinking about, starting to tackle some of the races that are now being done a little bit more in person, which is really awesome for everybody. I think we're finally starting to see some breakthroughs here. So like I said, tonight was really starting to kind of put it all together and kind of really understand things and really starting to kind of see what would the next steps be if I really want to kind of understand how to rid myself of shin splints. And like I said, one, you want to go through that treatment protocol that I had given you guys on day 2. And then from there, what you're going to want to do is really kind of double check with a professional as well. Make sure they take a look at your gait analysis, get properly fitted for shoes before you really jump into customized orthotics or insoles. Now, guys, if you are in my private Facebook group, just so you know, all these videos that you will have seen over the last 3 days, you're going to have access to them until May 1st. And then the group will actually be closed until we host this challenge again, which will be actually back in come June. We're going to actually launch this challenge for a second time. So those that have missed the 3-day Shin Splint challenge can take full advantage of it in June as well. And then hopefully we will run it 2 more times before the end of the year. So guys, if nobody has any questions this evening, remember, if you're catching the replay, #replay, let me know if you have any specific questions. My name is Dr. Heather, and it's been a pleasure working with you guys over the past 2 evenings. So let me know if you have questions, and don't forget, tomorrow night, we're going to have Coach Jason on here. He's my running expert and coach. I'm super excited to have Jason here tomorrow evening for a bonus section for all of you guys, where he's going to really start talking about running technique, and he's going to go through a whole presentation with you all. So catch us tomorrow night at 7:30 Eastern Time, where you're going to get to see my good friend Jason and myself. And like I said, if you have any further questions about how all this works, how to really kind of put it all together, drop some comments in the Facebook private group. And don't forget to grab tonight's cheat sheet, which just kind of highlights the key points that we went over this evening on putting it all together. All right, everyone, I will just see you guys tomorrow evening at 7:30 Eastern Time. Have a great night.